MAP4C 3.1, 1 and 2 variable data. What we're going to try to establish is the different types of data that can be recorded and the different ways to present that information. Hopefully by the end of this lesson we can distinguish between 1 variable data and 2 variable data. So data can be collected in a table. Data is arranged in vertical columns, up and down, and rows which go side to side. 1 variable data measures one attribute of an item at a time. Some examples of gathering 1 variable data include a tally chart. The frequency of an outcome is measured using tick marks. This technique allows you to keep an ongoing count of each outcome. So for every 5 observations, we write a cross in between because that helps us count these numbers and keep it ongoing so that we don't have to rewrite a number. It's a visual tally. A frequency table takes each of the different outcomes that we observe in our tally and write that numerical value at the end, and that's helpful when you're finished your observations and can start to interpret the results. A bar graph, a diagram in which numerical values of a variable are represented by the height or length of lines or rectangles of equal width. A histogram groups values of the x-axis into an interval. So you can see here the height of the cherry trees fall into an interval. We don't know the specific values of the tree heights between 75 and 80. We know that there are 10 of these observations, but not the specific value. The advantage is of this histogram that you can see the overall dispersion of the data. The disadvantage is that you don't know the exact values. But in many cases, it's advantageous to be able to see the big picture. Where is most of the data distributed? Pictograph. Pictures or symbols are used to represent data. So this is a case where the image is included within the graph, and sometimes this can be used to be a little bit persuasive. There's different techniques that we'll investigate in this chapter. A circle graph, a type of graph in which a circle is divided into sectors. Each slice of this pie is referred to as a sector, that each represent a proportion of the whole. So we can determine if we know the parts out of the total for a specific sector by solving this equation. Another solution is if you know what percentage it is of the total, multiply that decimal value times 360 degrees to get the angle. Hopefully we have time to investigate how to create circle graphs on spreadsheet software such as Microsoft Excel. Next, 2 variable data. There are 2 attributes for each item in a sample. So data is given in ordered pairs. A pair of numbers used to locate a point on a coordinate plane is called an ordered pair. An ordered pair is written in the form x, y, where x is the x coordinate, y is the y coordinate. So the only visual representation of 2 variable data is a scatter plot, a graph in which the values of 2 variables are plotted along 2 axes. The illustration of ordered pairs could reveal any correlation between variables. So a correlation refers to the trend that we see with these dots, if there's some type of pattern that emerges. So we can have linear, quadratic, exponential, any type of pattern that we observe might hint towards some type of connection or some correlation between the x and y axis. So when we are trying to distinguish between 1 variable data and 2 variable data, think, can I create a scatter plot with this information? If I can, it is a 2 variable data scenario. If you have 2 attributes or 2 questions that would be required in a survey in order to gather that information from an individual, that's 2 variable data. So 2-column table of values, 2 attributes for a single item are included in the table. You can see for each customer, we've asked their mass and their height. So 2 questions were required to get the information for each of these values. And there would be 1, 2, 3, 4 points so far if you wish to visually represent this on a scatter plot. Try the following questions, and we'll see you in class.